Guten Tag alle, Herr Wallis hier. Heute wollte ich nochmal über die Fehler mit euch sprechen. Today I wanted to talk to you about the cases in German again, how to be able to tell when a noun is nominative, accusative, or dative. As we review this in our German 1 class, you can review along with us. The first thing you want to make sure you're aware of is what prepositions are accusative and what are dative. Which ones are dative. So here we have a list of the most common accusative and dative prepositions in German. And we're going to first of all talk about their meanings. Nummer eins, durch, through. Nummer zwei, aus, out of. Nummer drei, gegen, against. Von. Nummer vier, from. Nummer 5, zu, to. Nummer 6, für, for. Nummer 7, außer, except for. Nummer 8, bei, at. Nummer 9, ohne, without. Nummer 10, mit, with. Nummer 11, around. Nummer 12, nach, after. Und Nummer 13, seit, since. And as to which one of these prepositions are accusative, we learned the rhyme durch, für, gegen, ohne, And these prepositions that are accusative are Nummer 1, durch. Nummer 6, für. Nummer 3, gegen. Nummer 9, ohne. Und Nummer 11, And then there's another rhyme you can remember. Durch, für, gegen, ohne, accusative, accusative. And for the dative ones, we simply put it to the tune of the Blue Danube Waltz. Aus, außer, bei, mit, nach, seit, von, zu. Aus, außer, bei, mit, nach, seit, von, zu. And you can remember them that way. There are a few prepositions that aren't mentioned here, such as entlang und bis, that are accusative, and gegenüber, which is dative. So there are a few extras, but these are the primary ones. Now let's make sure we understand what happens to the definite articles in the various cases, and then we'll review a few things, and then we'll go right into being able to tell when a noun is one of these cases. But basically, the nominative is the subject case, accusative is when it's a direct object, and the dative is when it's an indirect object. Okay, so if we take our masculine definite article, der in German, the nominative will change to den, and the dative will be dem. The feminine article, die, will stay die in the accusative and change to der in the dative. The neuter article, das, will stay das, and then in the dative will change to dem. And then finally you have the plural, which in German, all nouns have a gender, der, die, or das, but when they become plural, that definite article is always die. So it doesn't change when it's the direct object, but when you get to the dative, you have what's called the dative plural, where the D will change to den, and then the noun will end in an en if possible on the end. So if it ends in an e, just add an n. It doesn't end in either. Normally you add an en. So one rhyme we learn in German class to remember the accusative is der changes to den, die and das stay the same, because you can see on this chart that die and das will stay the same. Now when you get to dative, it's MRM or MRM, N, and then EN or the N, so it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, pronouns rather change also depending upon the case. That the pronoun or the role that the pronoun is filling. If it's filling in the subject, it would be the nominative, ich, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, und sie. If it's filling the role of a direct object, it will change again in German, mich, dich, ihn, sie. And then for it depends. In German, it can be, if it's a masculine noun, it would change to ihn. If it's a feminine noun, you could refer back to it with sie, and neuter with s. And then uns, euch, sie, und sie. And then for the dative, you have these changes here, mir, dir, ihm, ihr, and then ihm, ihr, ihm, respectively, uns, euch, and then ihnen with a small I, and ihnen with a big I. Okay. So remember, the nominative case is for the subject of a sentence or following a conjugation of the verb sein. Could also come after werden. An accusative is a direct object of a sentence, follows accusative prepositions, as we talked about in our opening durchvergehen ohne bislang, bis und entlang. And after two-way prepositions used with motion, which are not mentioned in this video, but are mentioned in other videos that we have made, the dative case, which is the indirect object of a sentence or following the dative prepositions, or used after two-way prepositions when telling where something is. Okay, so here we have a series, we have 15 sentences, and we're just going to write N, A, or D based on what the underlying noun is, what case it's in. So in our first example, I've written it in English as well. Ich kann mit dem Mann nicht sprechen. So here, Mann is the object of a dative preposition, mit. Das ist nicht mein Haus. This is the nominative. In English, we would refer to it as the predicate nominative. Ich werde meiner Schwester das Buch leihen. So here, you're loaning the book to who? My sister. That's the indirect object, so therefore dative. Wo sind die Kinder? Here we have it after a conjugation of sein, in this case sind. So this makes a nominative case for the Kinder. Ich sprang aus dem Zimmer. This is dative because it's the object of a dative preposition. Aus. Wirst du dem Hund einen Knochen geben? Will you give the dog a bone? You're giving the bone to the dog. That's an indirect object role, so it's dative. Herr Wallis ist mein Deutschlehrer, so that's nominative. Comes after a conjugation of the verb sein. Kannst du die Katze finden? So what can you find? That's going to be the direct object, so accusative. Du bist ein guter Freund. Again, nominative comes after conjugation of sein, bist here, making the predicate nominative. Ich habe einen kleinen Kuli oder einen neuen Kuli. So here, that's a direct object. Nummer 11, der junge Mann ist nicht hier. This is fulfilling the role of the subject. Nummer 12, ich kann ohne dich nicht leben. Ohne is an accusative preposition. Mein Auto ist nicht schnell. Auto here is the subject of the sentence. Ich singe ein Lied. Lied here is the direct object of the sentence. And du kannst das Buch nicht kaufen. That's the direct object, so it's also accusative. And then some final English to German translations. I can see the man. Ich kann den Mann sehen. Why did we change it to den Mann? Mann here is the direct object, making it accusative. Der changed to den. Die and das stay the same. Can you bring me the food? Kannst du mir das Essen bringen? So when you use a modal verb like kann or any conjugation of the verb können, which in this case is kannst, the other verb, in this case bringen, will always be at the end. What are you bringing? The food. It's accusative, so in the accusative, das stays das. That's why we haven't changed it. And we're bringing that to me, which is the indirect object, so therefore dative. Nummer 3, wird dich nicht hören. He will not hear you. He will not hear you. You is the direct object here, so it's accusative, so therefore dich. I will give you my number. Ich werde dir, oder if you want to be polite, Ihnen meine Nummer geben. So this is what you're giving is number, so that's the accusative. And then you're giving it to you, so the indirect object, dative, dir. Sie kocht mir Frühstück. She cooks me breakfast, okay? She's cooking breakfast for me, so me is the indirect object. I'm receiving the action of the verb indirectly. Sie liebt mich. Okay, she loves me. I will bring you the letter. Ich werde dir oder Ihnen den Brief bringen. That's what you're bringing is the letter. It's the direct object. There changes to den. You're bringing it to the indirect object, which is, if you want to be informal, dir, or formal, Ihnen. You can buy them a car. Du kannst Ihnen ein Auto kaufen. You can buy them, Ihnen, here, a car. You'll notice also that all the nouns in German are capitalized. In English, we only do this with proper nouns, but in German, even common nouns are capitalized. Okay, vielen Dank für das Zuschauen. Auf Wiedersehen.